the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk. Radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Hey, everybody. It is Wednesday, November the 4th. I'm Emerson Collins.
And I'm Del Shores.
And you're listening to
The Del and Emerson Show. Straight talk.
Real gay! On an exceptionally gay Wednesday, an autumnal Wednesday, if you will.
What's it? What'd you call it?
Autumnal.
I don't know what that is.
Like autumn?
Oh, it's nice.
When you make autumn an adjective, autumnal.
I thought it was some
it's
new
a word
sexual.
we don't use often enough.
I thought it was a sexual position that I hadn't done yet.
Well, yeah, it involves a centaur or something like Mr. Tumnus from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Sounds a little dirty.
Anyway.
How are y'all?
Good. I mean, it was like a super gay Halloween weekend.
It was crazy. I mean, we couldn't even find each other down there. I went down to the Boulevard, Santa Monica Boulevard, Emerson. I wanted to see Emerson in his amazing costume. Can you put Emerson's costume? It was so brilliant.
Well, then if we're going to start there, on Friday night, I went to Halloweeny, which is an amazing event held in Los Angeles that benefits the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles. So it is a high homo holiday the night before Halloween this year. It's incredible. Two wonderful men, Fred and Jason, put it on, and we were incredibly excited to be asked to attend. And it was a giant multi-level ballroom filled with gays as far as the eye could see, and like one bolt of fabric between everyone combined. But yeah, so I did finally reveal
you were more clothed
this year's Halloween costume. That is the most clothes that I've worn in many, many years. In fact, if you took my last 4 Halloween costumes and combined them, it was probably the same amount of fabric. So yes, I revealed. Is it up, John? Lil Kim Davis was the much anticipated secretive costume. I was very proud of it.
It was fantastic. I mean, so many people were talking. You made like all these blogs this year.
I did. It was funny. Chrissy Teigen, John Legend's wife, she's a fan of the People's Couch, actually. She posted it on her Instagram to her 3.5 million followers.
Oh, my God.
But she didn't tag me in it, which is, rude. I mean, like, let's be honest.
Do you think she's listening? Chrissy.
No, I love her and think she's hilarious. And she clearly found it from somewhere else and put that together. It was very funny. And New Now Next did a write-up about it yesterday. So it was a huge hit, and I enjoy that people laughed as much as I did. And I just thought it was funny because we've talked so much about her to the point of being tired of talking about her. And all her, like, bigotry, and Lil Kim and her, like, brazen, bold, titty out. I just thought the contrast was appropriate and hilarious.
The only complaint that I heard was that you needed to stuff Kim Davis just a little bit. They felt like you had made her a little too attractive with the...
I don't know that attractive is a word
thin,
that can describe it.
Thin.
In fact, I didn't even tell you I was going to do this. But for everyone's benefit, I had talked last week, I think, that I was struggling because one part of the costume wasn't going to work. And it was this part. Can you see it on the camera? This is the titty. This is Lil Kim Davis's titty. Wait, I'll give you the other one to play with.
Okay, I just want to show my people over here.
This is the one that's what it looked like when I first got it. And so I like darkened it to match my skin tone. But y'all, I tried to put it on with spirit gum and it was too heavy.
These
so
are heavy.
I cut out the inside of it and ripped out all the silicone and stuffed it with paper towels. And then I paid entirely too much money for a little bottle of silicone gel so that it would stick and look horrifying and terrifying on me through the evening.
Well, I think it's wonderful that you have this spare tit.
I do, just in case.
You always come in handy.
It's got to keep it in the...
You need to borrow this titty.
In the costume box. But, like, literally, it'll sit, like, it's so sticky. It just sit there.
Let me get a close-up. Wow.
It just sits there.
Look at that. Here,
just
guys.
Little titty. Just some titty. So that was my commitment to this Halloween costume. So it was a huge success. But it was so much work, and I had such a great time. But on Saturday night to go to the Boulevard, I was like, I can't do that again. So I just put a rainbow flag around my neck, tied it around my neck, and went as a flagget.
Oh. So I wouldn't have seen you anyway like that.
No, not dressed like that.
We couldn't find each other. All the texting went down. There were 500,000 people down there. Did you go, John?
No.
Yeah, you knew better.
No.
Couldn't get an Uber. I mean, it was horrible. It was just like, there was this one, and I had this one little altercation. There was this one woman who had her children there, and she said, leave it to the gays to come almost naked. And I said, hey, you're in our neighborhood. These kids need to be trick-or-treating in Sherman Oaks.
Yeah, I don't feel bad for that.
And she did not answer me at all because she saw a plethora of homosexuals just surrounded me and started going towards her like...
There were two things I found terrifying. One...
Is that there he is. He found you.
There was somebody pushing a tiny toddler in a stroller at 10 p.m. through the mass of people, and I was like, well, that's not smart. And then the other one was people that brought their dogs. Now, I know everybody thinks it's cute to dress their dog up, but your dog is not having a good time.
They are
among
not.
500,000 people wandering down Santa Monica Boulevard.
Can you imagine my 3 bitches down there?
No, I cannot.
Now, I went as Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos, because I was inspired by this necklace that was given to me by a fan in Puerto Vallarta. And so I actually live streamed me getting ready, which was just like paint drying. There were 2,000 people that checked in watching me do my makeup. So it was, and then I went down there, and it was kind of cool because nobody knew who I was. It was like I walked down there, and only I saw Craig Taggart and recognized them first as the
Sanderson sisters.
They were fantastic. That Hocus Pocus. I wish I'd gotten a picture of them, but they were so great. And but I said, Teddy, it's Del Shores. So it was fun.
I love that.
Yeah.
But of course, it wouldn't be Halloween without some controversy and people getting upset. The first big celebrity one I saw, Harry Hamlin got in a lot of trouble because he and Lisa Rinna went as Sid and Nancy, Sid Vicious, and he wore the famous Sid Vicious outfit with the padlock necklace and the swastika T-shirt to a party at George Clooney's house, and everybody got upset. And then the second one, we'll get to in a minute. But I thought there was a Bill Cosby costume that I saw that was hilarious and horribly offensive.
It was.
But I thought, it's Halloween.
It made me laugh. It did make me laugh. Describe it. Can you describe it?
Yeah, it was the guy was dressed as one of Bill Cosby's victims, with Bill Cosby behind him as a figure holding a martini glass. So it was definitely a lot.
And she was passed out. So
yes.
She's kind of carrying her, which seemed like a lot of effort. So.
And then moving on to, we talked last week about Gus Kenworthy, the Olympic skier who came out of the closet. Well, welcome to the world of being a known entity on the interweb, Gus Kenworthy, because he got in a whole lot of trouble too.
Yes, he did. And they were both sexy outfits that he had on, costumes, but he did, he was a Native American. And, I was talking to you about it, Emerson, because I saw it and I thought, well, what's so wrong about it? I mean, at first he was a sexy cop. And that he didn't get in trouble for that one, did he?
No.
And then the next day he went to Instagram and he gave a glimpse of his fourth costume. He said the second and the third weren't worthy of posting, and it was kind of an eventful American Indian, shirtless. He looked really hot, but you explained to me.
But what he said is important to the story. He posted underneath the picture, and for everyone giving me grief, this isn't racist or cultural appropriation. It's Halloween, just having fun. Then the internet lost its mind at him, and he tweeted afterwards, I didn't realize I was being offensive and didn't mean to marginalize or appropriate Native American culture. Sorry, pic deleted. And the issue that has been for actually many, many years about Native American costumes is the headdresses are every feather and every bead means something specific, and they're awarded to people for a specific reason. So it's not simply a
adoration,
a costume,
yes,
or
dormant, yes.
Garments representative of a culture. It actually means something. So he got in a lot of hot water. I understand people getting angry about their cultures being used as costume. However, at the root of it, I sort of go to, if you're dressing up for Halloween at all, you're already appropriating a festival that belongs to pagans. If you're not pagan and you dress up at Halloween, you're appropriating in the first place. So I sort of go, I get he shouldn't have done it. You should know better at this point. This is not a new objection, this particular one. And it's one of the only times of the year we hear about Native American issues, frankly, is Halloween or sports ball mascots. So I understand for their community the big deal. But I do go to, unless we're going to get upset about, are we mocking police officers because we're not taking seriously that they put their lives in danger, or, military people if you're wearing medals that you didn't earn. There's an element of, I go, Halloween is Halloween, and sure, it can be wrong, but I'm not going to spend my energy being upset about it.
Me neither. And here's what I found interesting about this story is because, I just plead ignorance here because I was going, it's a great costume. Why were people that upset? And you explained it to me. So I think it gives people like me who are ignorant of that I didn't know that about the headdress. I should have. I should have known that. But I didn't, and now I do, and I understand why it was offensive. So there was some education that he gave me.
Totally, and I think it's good to have a proportional response to say that's not cool because of this. But the people that like lost their minds and like, you're a racist and you're did it, I'm like, okay, yes, it's terrible what was done to Native Americans. None of us did it. None of the people now were the victims of it. He wasn't someone dressed with like scalps hanging at his
Right.
belt, which is obviously offensive to everyone. So educate someone and be like, that's irritating, and move on. Like the
Right.
proportion of internet response, I think, can be exhausting.
Yeah, I would think that. Yes, I was going to say something, but let's just move on. I agree with you.
But in sweet Halloween story news,
Yeah.
there was a great story of a dad whose 9-year-old son went as Cruella de Vil for Halloween. He talked about this son really loves picking the costume, and he's really involved in designing it and putting it together. He said it's very typical for people to assume that because he has two dads that we somehow guided him in this direction. That is simply not the case. Of course, they got a lot of love on Facebook. The little boy looked absolutely amazing.
Was ridiculously brilliant. We have it in the room. It was such a good costume.
But then his friend, one of his friends, posted in response, I must say this is completely inappropriate, and I can't believe a parent would ever do that to their child. Sorry if I offend you or your friends, but I think it's wrong to dress your child up as a costume of a gender they aren't, I guess, is her issue. Will responded saying, we deal with this type of small-minded person on a daily basis. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. I will always support and encourage my kids' creativity happily and without apology. And he pointed out, and I thought this was a good point, the most acceptable costumes for boys seem to usually have something to do with blood, gore, and killers. They find that more acceptable. I say live and let live. He's a 9. More kids should be allowed to explore their interests without fear. And I was like, it's Cruella de Vil. Like, he's just a little kid playing dress up.
It was great. And it goes to that whole thing. When I was raising my kids, people would criticize me for, allowing them at a younger age than most to watch Sex and the City. And I said, but you are okay with having your kid watch a bunch of people kill each other in a war movie.
Right.
That's rated R. It's rated R because of that. Violence, it's ridiculous.
I'm like, what's next? PETA getting upset because the boy was in a Cruella de Vil and she had a fur coat, and that's promoting the killing of puppies. Like, calm down.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So, all right, let's go to our equality update. We got some bad news.
All right, we talked a lot about this story as it was going, and yesterday was the vote in Houston on the Equal Rights Ordinance. We told the backstory how Mayor Anise Parker and the city council had voted this into effect, and then it was found that they needed to put it to a public vote. Well, it went to the vote yesterday, and it lost, and not by a little bit. It lost 61-39, an enormous loss for equal rights, and it had gotten huge support in advance from Hillary Clinton, from the White House. Matt Bomer had done a bunch of work on it because he is from Houston, Michael Sam, and many LGBT organizations. HRC put more people on the ground there than they have for any local ordinance ever. We outspent the other side by several $1 million and still lost by an enormous amount to the polls. And it's because, at the end of the day, the other side managed to make it all about this bathroom predator myth that we've talked a great deal about, when this Equal Rights Ordinance would have actually protected more than a dozen different groups of people, including race, age, religion, military service, pregnant women, sexual orientation, and gender identity. But they won with this one very specific,
one little thing,
false presentation.
And I posted on Facebook immediately this morning, said that we were going to talk about it on the show, and I immediately got a troll saying exactly, going right after that, and said, Del Shores, you just want to go into bathrooms and look at women's boobs. And I go, well, obviously you don't know me well, because that is not the case here. And then I asked him if he was a true fan. He was not, and I deleted him after he wrote a bunch of crazy shit.
Also, what woman has to show her boobs to use the bathroom?
I know. Well, I was thinking that too.
I mean, I've seen little boys that drop their pants to their ankles. They don't get the hitch it right below your butt thing. But I've never heard of a woman who needed her tits out to use the to pee
and have the door open. So hey, look at my. I mean, it was the most ludicrous. And I said, you know what? If you could just express yourself with proper punctuation, I could take you seriously. But it was so ignorant from all levels, and that I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I dismissed them very quickly over not punctuating.
Right. But it's interesting because it goes very much to what Mike Signorelli at Huffington Post has talked about victory blindness following the Supreme Court decision. This is the first biggest probably defeat for the LGBT community since Prop 8 in California, and it's a reminder of what these battles are going to look like. And this bathroom myth, because it worked so well, we're going to see it get used everywhere. That terrifying Houston commercial of the grown man following a little girl into the bathroom is going to be used in other places to fight similar ordinances.
It already has. I mean, Lafayette. I mean, earlier this year. And you called it when I keep giving you this, but you weren't the only one. But you really, I didn't think it was going to be to this level that we were going to see. So, I mean, we've got other stories today that make your skin crawl, and I do believe that it's because they are seeing equality march forward. We got 50 states where we can get married in, and now they're going to say, now let us just slap you a little bit. Let us show our bigotry, and it's a little bit scary out there because we're going to talk about some hate crimes that are happening, and I believe that it is a result of the profile that is happening now.
Well, and this very
activating the haters.
This very specific thing, we have to learn to fight directly. All of the campaign in Houston focused on other more positive things. They didn't want to fight dirty. We've got to answer this bathroom myth with the actual facts. One, that in all of the places where equal rights ordinances include trans people, this has never happened.
Never.
It's never happened anywhere. Also, being a predator, still illegal. Sexually assaulting someone in public and private, in a public accommodation, in a bathroom, anywhere, anything, still illegal.
Yeah, find me a trans person who is a predator. You know, I mean, give me some specifics here. There are none. All it is just fear mongering.
But we have to fight it better.
We do.
We lost this. We spent more money than them, and this one specific thing, by not answering it well, by not explaining what this is, by not helping people understand more the struggle of what trans people are going through, we can't run around this bathroom myth. We're going to have to run through it. And smarter minds than mine, but all of our organizations, when we look at fighting these campaigns in other places, we have to find a direct counter to this to protect trans people. And it's really sad because there are 200 cities that have these ordinances, and Houston looks awful. And I grew up in suburban Houston, and it's really embarrassing to see all of these conservative figures championing that perverts and the mentally ill were defeated in Houston.
Do you think that it's going to have the same repercussions that Indiana has had?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting because already Sid Ziegler at Outsports posted today that one of the major sports organizations will not be moving. I think the Super Bowl maybe is in Houston next year, and that there certainly wouldn't consider moving it because of that. I think we're going to have to push hard to raise the level of awareness that we did with Indiana. And a very interesting thing happened. I didn't even put this in the story. Carlos Maza is a writer at Media Matters, and he launched a huge campaign over the last several months directed at Beyonce. Very specifically, because she's from Houston.
Right.
She's the face of Houston. She sings about it in her songs, called Bae Be a Hero, asking her to weigh in on this with the influence that she has, with the attention that she gets, with the way that she puts feminism on stage when she performs. She's weighed into social issues, and there was no response from her. And today, a lot of people are calling, obviously you can't blame Beyonce. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
But there is a way to say, if you're going to be... it's frustrating to not see people with enormous influence step up on behalf of fan bases that they use and cultivate. Obviously, there are queer people involved in how Beyonce looks and how she performs and how she appears. And someone like that speaking out would have been a huge benefit to this kind of campaign.
We have a story coming up about that, with her.
So I thought it was really interesting, and certainly we can't blame her. But, Matt Bomer, who recently doesn't talk a lot about our issues, but after coming out, stood up and sent out a huge thing on behalf of this because he's from there. It would have been great to see someone like her do that as well. So Houston will have to continue the fight there.
And you're right. We have work to do. We still have work to do. We cannot be silent.
We have to fight better and smarter going forward.
And there were a few people on my page that said, oh, well, no, nobody went out and voted. I did some research, and no, it was the biggest turnout that they had in the last three general elections. So, and it was still low voter turnout because it always is.
Yeah, but like enormous percentages higher.
Huge.
Of people who are afraid,
because
who bought into the fear.
They went to vote just for this. So, all right, well, moving on, we've got World Conference of Families last week. The World Congress of Families Conference was held in, of course, Salt Lake City, Utah. As a warm-up to that conference, they had a session dubbed #StandForTruth. That was on Monday, and Peter Sprigg of the American Family Association, who we hate, delivered the keynote saying he wanted to focus specifically on gay relationships because they are objectively harmful to the people who engage in it and to society at large. Sprigg also said advocating against things like marriage equality, non-discrimination laws, and hate crime bills isn't motivated by hate, but by love. And referencing AIDS, he then said, and now just to keep in mind that he said this is all with love. Now, this quote, the reason they died is because they chose to have sex with men, not because conservatives told them not to. We do no one a kindness by denying the truth. How much did you feel that love?
I felt all of that love. I
Yeah,
really get it. Like,
yeah.
it's definitely not motivated by hate. It's
No,
really,
none
really,
at all.
I mean, tingles.
It just made me want to grab a Bible and change my lifestyle right now. And a panel of Kim Davis lawyers, Matt Staver, who also we hate, American Families Association, Sandy Rios, and Mass Resistance, Brian Kamenker, agreed that Christians need to be more aggressive in their approach to bringing down the gays. Kamenker said, I think there is a place for being insulting and degrading, and I think I can back that up by scripture. I think we have to look at this as a war. They would send us to concentration camps if they could. I think that's called projection.
That's true, but I would like to know what scriptures he's going to use for insulting and degrading, because you could use those when people tell you, that you need to be more Christian. Be like, well, if he's got Bible verses that support you insulting people, you need to know which one he's using.
I need to know. So, Brian, are you listening? Just send me those
Chances
scriptures.
are not good.
Okay. So, again, just more of this hatred that is being spewed in the name of the Lord. And kids are listening to this. I'm sure there were kids at these conferences. And we have work to do. We still have work to do. We have movies to make.
Yes. All right, let's flash through the gay news. We'll kick it off. Last night's episode of The People's Couch was super fun. We had a great time. It was, I think, episode number 5 of our 8. We're getting to the end so quickly.
It passed so fast.
But it was super fun. We did Supergirl and Elevator and a bunch of nonsense, and we watched our little old glamours not know what the phrase YOLO meant, which was about the funniest thing in the world to me. So it was a super great time. And as always, thank you guys who tweeted along with us during the live tweet. We have a great time, and we love doing it. It's super fun.
And I thought that you were fantastic, and I'm glad you're here today, because I was worried that that the Scientology was gonna put a hit out on you.
I know, it was so funny. I was surprised they used it. For those of you who didn't see it, Leah Remini is co-hosting on Dancing with the Stars, and she's been doing interviews about the book she has coming out about leaving Scientology. And so she did something, and I said something about her having already survived the Scientology horror story, and then they scared her, and she fell to the floor. And I said, well, that's because she was afraid that L. Ron Hubbard was coming for her. And y'all, the Scientologists, they like pay attention to stuff. They send people for you. People get disappeared in the middle of the night.
Yes.
Leah Remini's still worried about where Shelley Miscavige is.
You turned sideways, they couldn't find you.
I hope, y'all. If I disappear, somebody got to tell my story.
Yes, I am
not on a commune.
I need to get there's these things that you can now get for your phone and for keys and stuff that are tracking. I need one for you.
No, I might have to get one of those
underskin
underskin GPS. The first thing they'll do is get rid of your phone. They're not stupid.
Or like the dogs have. Like
yes.
my dogs have. Just put
get
it
one,
under
put it on my
yours.
shoulder. In
So-
every TV show.
But anyway,
In
great
other
job.
fun
You guys
news.
are doing a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. The whole cast. I
Thank
love
you. In other fun news, Rosie O'Donnell is coming to Empire. Rosie O'Donnell's all over TV lately. She will apparently be playing a street-smart entrepreneur Cookie New in prison. I'm like, is she going to be like the street-smart Martha Stewart, like Sally roommate of Cookie? I cannot wait to see what that is.
She told me that I ran into Rosie at the after party of Dames at Sea when I was in New York a couple of weeks ago, and the first thing she said. She said, I just got back from filming Empire. I'm doing a lot of things, Del. She said, why don't you write that Queer as Folk reunion movie and bring me back? And I said, well, because I didn't create the show. She goes, you didn't?
Be like, that's not up to me.
She thought I created the show. I created her character on the show, but not... Yeah. Anyway.
All right, flash and own.
All right. Well, we got Chick-fil-A back in the news. Chick-fil-A's log is included as a sponsor of Level Ground, billed as the world's first faith-based LGBT film festival. Which I was just, whoa, there's one of those? A spokesperson for the company stated that they were not a sponsor. It is a local Nashville franchise owner, similar to what happened last year here in Hollywood with the Chick-fil-A sponsoring Campus Pride. However, a concerned Christian started a change.org petition declaring CFA goes gay. Corporate needs to know. And his petition states, your sponsorship of this organization supports pro-gay organizations such as the Christian Closet, the Center for Gays and Lesbian Studies and Religion and Ministry, Therapists for Equality, Believe Out Loud, and many other groups that promote an agenda which is contrary to Chick-fil-A's corporate stance on Christian values and heart clogging. Oh, no, he didn't say that. Regarding marriage and stewardship.
I think it's hysterical that, like, there are so many homos still mad at Chick-fil-A, and now they've upset Christians because a couple of franchise owners have been doing good work. It's that one Hollywood location that makes me feel good about getting those waffle fries.
I know,
every once in a
you
while.
and Leslie Jordan. He said, I don't have to hide anymore. I can go get my waffle fries.
At this one.
Okay.
At just this one. Well, now there's another one in Nashville.
When he's touring, he can go in Nashville and feel comfortable.
Be like, oh, Chick-fil-A, bless their hearts. All right.
Bless their bigoted hearts.
Some of them.
The T-shirt's on sale, by the way.
It's not. It
oh,
ended
it's
yesterday.
gone.
It's all done.
Oh well, I hope everybody got theirs because
I'm sure I'll do
I
it
got
again at some
mine.
point. Every time people order a bunch of them, then I relaunch.
you got
it
a
again.
Christmas tee though. We got to get.
I do. Yeah, I'll bring it in next week so we can show my Christmas Emerson tea. All right, November. Many of you I would think know that Movember is the theme of Movember. It's that thing where on the 1st of November you start clean shaven and then you grow your mustache for the entire month of November for men's health. And it's a very great campaign that promotes getting checked for prostate cancer and doing self-checks for testicular cancer, as well as focusing this year on mental health and physical activity. However, not everybody looks good with a mustache.
I
will not be participating in this way. There's some people that look real awkward. As some people start looking like they should be driving around in, one of those terrible rape vans or, waiting outside the playground. Like, not everybody was meant to have a 70s porn stash.
Yeah, I'm just going to give some money.
I
I'm
will
just gonna
donate
give
too.
to the cause.
But this is our plug for it. As men, there can be less focus at time on our personal health, and it's important, particularly for prostate and testicular cancer, that you do self-checks, that if you are of a certain age, that you get a prostate screening, and also that you be aware of being physically active. It's something in our culture that we sort of often can be like, well, we all just take care of ourselves. Well, there are certain kinds of things you can't take care of yourself. So this month, remember to get checked, take care of yourself, and only if you look good.
Is there a self-check
mustache.
like how women
For testicular cancer?
No, I mean for prostate.
No, you need help with that. I mean, I don't think you can get like an internet license, Del Shores, and be like a professional
Is there a YouTube video
checker.
on how to do this? Like yourself, John? I think we should make one. A YouTube video on.
I guess if you're interested, at some point this month, Del's going to get online certified as a prostate checker. So I think you have to send a face pic and an ass pic, and then Del Shores will check your prostate. Please do not be offended if you're referred to a local physician.
This is why the straights hate us.
Speak for yourself.
All right.
Straight men, it's just as important to get their prostate checked.
We have another really...
But they want to get checked by a doctor that's not going to enjoy the process. That's the only difference. They want it to be awkward for both of them. Be like, this should be awkward for both of us. One of us shouldn't be having a good time here.
And put that glove on. Okay.
Flashing out.
Yes, and we have to. Now, let's change the subject to something really sweet and heartwarming. We've got a mom that created American Boy doll for her son. Gina DeMillo Wagner's son, Miles, asked for an American Boy doll for his 6th birthday. She discovered it was nearly impossible to find such a toy, so she took matters into her own hands and she made one, and it's really great. It looks like, yes. She found a Madame Alexander doll with blonde hair and blue eyes like her son for $25 and creatively removed the blush and lipstick with nail polish remover to get the perfect result. The creative mother wrote about the incident on her blog and was surprised to receive so many positive messages, including some from startups like Wonder Crew and Boy Story, which will start to sell boy dolls for children. Here's her quote: "There are doll options for boys, just not very many, and very few are marketed to older boys in the same way that American girls appeal to older girls. If my story helps toy companies rethink the market and consider breaking down gender barriers, then I am thrilled."
Yes.
Good for you, Mom
I
Gina.
love it. And so great. All right. Last week was the next most absurd version of the Republican primary debates that happened on CNBC with the moderator wars and blaming the press. But the specific LGBT moment that was brought up, Ben Carson talked about, there is no reason you can't be perfectly fair to the gay community if you're opposed to a marriage equality. This is one of the myths that the left perpetuates on our society. This is how they frighten people and get people to shut up. No, that's not the thing. Dr. Ben Carson, if you oppose equality, then you're not being perfectly fair to the gay community.
I can't stand him. Everybody's like, oh, so many of my Republican friends, like, he's the one. I can't stand him.
Yep.
I mean,
he's pulling up in the lead.
You know, he certainly is, and he just may get the nomination, I think. It worries me.
Every time somebody gets in the lead, you get worried about them getting the nomination. It is so far away.
Am I stressing too much, Emerson?
A little bit. Well, because here's the problem.
Too early.
He does not speak well in policy, and he's going to have to in the next debates now that he is the front runner. So it is still quite possible that the floor will fall out from under him.
And he has no enthusiasm. It's like, it's like, come on, some inflection, please. Can we have some? We're not performing surgery.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Skip to the teacher.
The teacher. Okay, the teacher. Teacher asked to resign for showing anti-bullying video. Yes, this is. It's a disturbing story to me. Tom Leahy, I think is the way you say his name, a middle school teacher in Kansas, has been asked to resign after playing a viral anti-homophobia video to 14-year-olds. As part of a history lesson on tolerance for an 8th grade class, Leahy played the short film, Love is All You Need. We have the link for you. It's a wonderful film, hugely popular anti-bullying clip. It's more than a clip, it's a short film, with more than 12 million views on YouTube. It holds a mirror to homophobia by inviting people to imagine a world where homosexuality is the norm and straight people are othered like gay people are. In reality, Leahy decided to show the video after a number of students expressed shocking anti-gay views in a class discussion. The film features scenes of church-instituted heterophobia, which some parents objected to, while others attacked the portrayal of suicide. Leahy said, I didn't want just a dorky little film. I wanted something that was important, something that was serious, so that's the one that came up. He said that the video had upset too many people and that he had been asked to step down despite teaching at the school since 1997. Placed on leave last month, but he's now been told not to come back. I actually did a little research today, and I've got it in the principal's email address in our chat room. I wrote him this morning. I said, how sad for your students that you and your school board actually deny students the opportunity to think. Because that's what he did. He gave them something that was thought-provoking, that enabled some conversation and a discussion, and that's what a teacher should do. My mother was an educator, and this was good teaching, and I said, I hope that he sues you. I do. I mean, it's the only way we can stop this shit.
Well, and absolutely. Well, and crazy that he's been there for 18 years. You know, it's not some, 2-year-old teacher in the community. So props to Mr. Leahy, and I'm sure there is a great school somewhere that will be happy to have an open-minded and thought-provoking teacher like him. Flashing on, follow-up from last week. We did the story about boxer Yusuf Mack that said that he somehow woke up on a train after having unknowingly been in a gay porn. Well, he has issued a new statement admitting that he knew that he was in the film, and also he came out as bisexual, which shows that he was going through a lot of personal struggle about how to respond to this, and clearly panicked and told this outlandish story. So he issued a public apology saying, I was completely aware and fully conscious during the film. I did participate in it because at the time I needed money, but also because I'm a bisexual man. I selflessly tried to cover the truth and remain in denial rather than accept the fact that I was leading a double life secretly. He apologized to his family and his children, and he said, I'm sorry that I was a coward and hid a huge part of my life from you all. The extreme taboo and harsh criticism of living a same-sex lifestyle, especially as an African-American male, makes it hard to be completely honest and comfortable with yourself. So, after making a great deal of fun of him last week for the ludicrousness of that story, I do want to applaud him. You know, we've talked about bisexuals often face the most bigotry from outside and within our community. So, applause to him for for sharing the actual truth behind the story, and hopefully
so quickly
he and his family can heal.
It was a quick turnaround.
I mean, I think it had to be. The story was so stupid and so outlandish that the entire internet was laughing at him, like we did on our show. That he was like, "Oh, that was worse." So the truth is probably better at this point. Flashing on.
All right, we've got. This is what I was talking about earlier. That I believe that this horrible anti-gay rhetoric that we're hearing from pulpits, from politicians, is causing more attacks and hate crimes. We had 2 in Dallas last week. The latest victims in a steady rising number of violent attacks on gays in Dallas's popular Oak Lawn neighborhood, where we have walked many, many times.
Yeah, it's the neighborhood I grew up in.
Yes, despite an increase in local police presence, this brings the total of attacks and robberies targeting gay men to 11 in 3 months in the Dallas neighborhood. So far, only 1 has been officially classified as a hate crime. 1 was robbed at gunpoint by multiple men in the alley close to his home and then beaten to the ground. The other was robbed after leaving a bar. And then at a community meeting in October, police promised Oak Lawn residents more patrols and said they were considering adding cameras to the area. Local officials also pledged to fix broken street lights, something that has been made walking around the neighborhoods dangerous at night. And then in Palm Springs, another neighborhood that we frequent, and we have such a wonderful
home away from home.
Our fan base there is George Sander is a Palm Springs gay rights activist. He and his husband were attacked leaving Hunters. How many times have we been in Hunters?
And for those of you not familiar, the Hunters, there's literally like one block of Palm Springs that is like the gayest block of Palm Springs, and this was at 8 o'clock on a Sunday in the middle of that stretch.
And Palm Springs, it's like you're the minority if you're not gay, pretty much. It's almost. It's especially in this area. But that they were holding hands, and a passerby bumped into them and muttered an anti-gay slur to the couple. Chris replied, "That's totally uncalled for." Then the man pulled Chris down by his shirt, ran away. The man returned with at least one other person. Chris was hit on the back of the head with a bottle, and George was thrown. These are elderly people. They broke his
one of them.
And George was thrown to the ground, breaking his hip. Chris was treated for concussion with staples in the back of his head and stitches in his lip. George suffered a double hip fraction and will have to undergo surgery. When I was prepping this and put this on Facebook, my friend Matt emailed me, and he said it's also happening in Atlanta. There's an uprise in Midtown and we've seen it in Pittsburgh. So it's just a sad thing that is happening right now in our country. And
it's really important because as we talk about with these stories, as we gain ground, as we continue to push and fight, for equality for all of our community, and as we continue and push for trans rights, the successes that we have are met with great resistance, and the people who don't like change, the people that are resistant to it, will act out. So it's the importance of telling these stories is that even in the neighborhoods that we think of as ours, the places where we feel the most safe, the most comfortable expressing physical affection publicly, we still have to be aware of our surroundings and the people that pass. And while that is sad, it's important to remember to protect yourself because there are crazy people out there.
Do you feel like, you live right in the hub there. Do you feel it? Do you look around? I don't.
No, but I'm not. I guess from living overseas and I've traveled a lot, I'm aware of my surroundings at all times. I'm not more so or less so in one place than another.
Okay.
Flashing on. These two, because we have to get to these two stories because we didn't put one of them on last week, and I had several people wondering what's going on with the glory holes. There's a small town in Florida called Vero Beach. It only has 15,000 people, but they are on the hunt for a person responsible for drilling several glory holes in various public restrooms around the quiet Florida town. The most recent one was discovered by a municipal employee inside the men's restroom at the Shores Beach. Your beach is named Treasure Shores. You could find some treasures in the bathroom. The officer said that someone had drilled a circular hole drilled into the divider wall separating the urinals from the toilets. He was frustrated because he had already patched up a similar hole in that same bathroom once before. Based on the location of where the hole was drilled, the officer noted in his report, it is commonly used for male subjects to place their genitalia through it and have oral sex performed on them. Unfortunately, police say they do not have a suspect or any leads in the case. As a result, it has been listed as inactive. Now, inactive, is that the case of the glory hole? Because they just advertised it for every homo in America wanting to go to Treasure Shores Beach and make a friend.
Well, I think they should put those Brillo pads like you do for mice, so it'll hurt them. So
why? Why are you hate criming us? Why are you putting Brillo pads on scrotums? If you don't want to use it, just ignore it.
I'm just saying, if you want to deter, put some Brillo pad in the glory hole.
That is horrifying. You're like perpetuating hate crimes against homosexuals. You know what you do? You patch the hole.
Well,
but you're like,
oh,
I feel like you're some American Family Association person out there being like, let's put Brillo pads on the glory holes and destroy the sensitive skin of their scrotums.
Well, I don't think...
I'm horrified.
Really, seriously, you think that it's okay for people publicly to be putting
no,
their
of
dicks in
course.
glory holes?
Of course not, but I don't
I'm
think we
just
need to
saying,
be ripping up some sad closeted homosexual's scrotum. I think you could just patch it or put up a metal wall that can't be drilled a hole
John,
through.
put those images away. I hope you're not putting those in the chat room. We can't get on YouTube that way.
Del Shores, I'm mortified.
Oh, stop it.
I feel like that's something Ted Cruz would suggest or Mike Huckabee.
You think that... I can't get out of this one. Okay, more glory hole news.
No, you don't even get to tell this story. Hate crime and glory holes. In St. Louis, an ex-police officer admitted to investigators that he posed as a woman on Craigslist and he would solicit men to come to his house for anonymous glory hole sex through a homemade glory hole. He would send a woman's photo to the men and then give them instructions on what to do when they arrived at his house. When those men arrived, he would perform oral sex on them through a hole in the wall and record the activity. The men believed they were receiving oral sex from a woman. This former police officer admitted that approximately 60 men visited his home over an 18-month period, and he uploaded them to his personal website. Now, obviously, uploading it to a website, that's illegal, and you shouldn't do that, and he should be prosecuted for that.
They should put Brillo pads. No.
See? Brillo pads in the sheets. But that first part, I'm sorry. If you're dumb enough to answer an ad on Craigslist, I'm sure it was some beautiful woman, too, and showed up and stick your penis through a hole. You get what you get.
It's
and I'm
like
sure
catfish.
The blowjob was good.
Well, but here's what he did. He filmed it. That was his big mistake.
Of course. But the other part, like, if any of them were complaining, I'm like, sir, first of all, it was probably the best blowjob y'all ever had. If he's doing this month, you know he's got some real good technique.
I hope he remembered to shave. That could throw it off.
Certainly the videos are illegal, but the catfish part I just find hilarious. All right, let's skip that one.
Okay. Go on to the trendsetter.
Yes, this is actually a little bit of progress in the trans community and drag queens as well. Totally not related entities, but both of them have expressed enormous frustration at Facebook for the real name policy that doesn't allow them to use the names that they go by in real life. For trans people who haven't yet changed all of the legal paperwork or their driver's license, but are publicly have transitioned to the gender they are, it can be difficult to maintain the name, and certainly for drag queens that work professionally and everyone knows them by that name, a lot of them have had their Facebook accounts locked, and it's been an ongoing struggle. Well, Facebook announced this week a couple of improvements to the process that would allow people to fight it being locked out of their account for the not using their real name policy. They said, we want to reduce the number of people who are asked to verify their name on Facebook when they are already using the name people know them by. We want to make it easier for people to confirm their name if necessary. They haven't said specifically how. Certainly, drag queens don't have a driver's license in that identity, and there are many trans people who haven't completed the legal process. And to that end, Facebook but is now going to make people that report a profile for being a fake name provide an explanation as well. So it's not the end, and it's not a perfect solution yet, but the people's biggest complaint was Facebook is that if you have a problem with Facebook, there's no way to get to a person. There's no way to get in touch with them. We've shared your stories many times. So this isn't a perfect solution yet, but it's certainly moving us in the right direction.
Absolutely. And, okay, checking in with
crazy!
Where's our sound effect, John? Okay, Franklin Graham. There we go. Franklin Graham, Billy Graham's son, likes Russia's anti-LGBT laws.
Shocking.
Yes. A conservative Christian evangelist, Franklin Graham, on a trip to Russia last week, praised President Vladimir Putin and the nation's so-called gay propaganda law for protecting, his quote, protecting Russian young people, and criticized LGBT accepting U.S. churches as well as President Obama. Graham said, I very much appreciate that President Putin is protecting Russian young people against homosexual propaganda, if only to give them the opportunity to grow up and make a decision for themselves. Again, homosexuals cannot have children. They can take other people's children. During his Russian visit, Graham met with Patriarch Kirill, the leader of the Russian Orthodox Church, and decried trends in the U.S. and said, many churches in America have started to support homosexuality. That is terrible. It's a sin, and it's against God. Oh, I don't even know where to start, or maybe we should just end.
I mean, I feel like that's you're aligning yourself with one of the worst people on the entire international stage and complimenting them on their policies, sir. You are the problem.
And guess what, asshole? homosexuals can have children, and they are having beautiful children, and they're teaching them not to hate, motherfucker.
And that's so awkward. They can take other people's children. I don't know what he meant. Like if he meant like we're stealing children in the dead of night, or if he just meant we can't have them. But I'm like, also, you know,
It's
how
just
many
stupid.
Same-sex couples are taking children that no one else wants out of the
Absolutely.
adoption and foster care systems.
Absolutely.
So thanks.
I really believe that if his dad was not all but in a coma, I mean, his dad's very, very ill, that he would not be supporting this level of hatred that is being spewed by Franklin Graham. So, anyway, what's gay in sports ball?
What's gay in sports ball? I love this story because, you know, I don't care about sports ball, but the World Series ended, which is sad because now I won't see that hashtag World Series with the cute little lipstick at the end of it on my Twitter feed anymore. Daniel Murphy, we talked about him earlier this year, plays for the New York Mets, and he's been on a huge streak. He was celebrated as the huge postseason hero for the Mets with comparisons to Babe Ruth for all the home runs he was having in the World Series, and he made a huge error that let the ball slip through his glove that allowed the Royals to tie the game and then go on to win. It has been said that it is the second worst error in the history of the World Series. Now, the reason I am applauding this is because, for one thing, you know, people pray for sports ball, and I guess he didn't pray hard enough. But Murphy is also the one who spoke earlier this year about Billy Beane, who was hired by the Major League Baseball to be the ambassador for inclusion. He had said, I disagree with his lifestyle. I disagree with the fact that Billy is a homosexual. That doesn't mean I can't still invest in him and get to know him. I don't think the fact that someone is homosexual should completely shut the door on investing in them with the relational aspect. I would say you can still accept them, but I do disagree with the lifestyle 100%. And why I love him being the butt of the jokes this weekend is because while he is celebrated as a hero, there are little LGBT kids that are athletes that want to play baseball that are watching this thing so very closely that'll see those two things at the same time. Hear him say this and then be celebrated as the great athlete of the World Series. So seeing him knocked completely off that pedestal as a bigoted speech person was really exciting because that's not the kind of hero that any of our kids need.
And I love this. I do disagree with the fact that Billy is a homosexual. Well, guess what? You can't. You can't disagree with that.
I disagree with the fact that you're a sports ball player and get paid millions of dollars to hit a 3-foot link of wood hitting at a ball.
It's so ridiculous. And then
and we can't get our movie made about marriage equality. We're still
getting
finding
our
funds.
movie.
Well, of course, but we're still working for funds. Sorry, your salary is more than the entire budget of our film.
We got
and you play a game. I disagree with that.
Yeah, there you go.
See how ridiculous
we're celebrating it. We got a new investor today for a very sordid wedding, and we also want to say happy birthday to one of our other ones. Arthur Hood's birthday is today, so happy birthday.
Yeah,
Arthur,
so we are getting there.
Yes,
and as always, if you think of somebody new or you've got to fall into a little money and you want information, just hit up Dell at dellshores@me.com, and we can send you our investor packet. You can keep it for yourself or pass it on.
Thanks, Rick, for coming on board today. And we've got one last story. Footballer kept his brother in the closet. Former footballer, and it ended very tragically. Former footballer star John Fash, I don't know if I'm saying this right, Fash Hanu, has revealed he went to great lengths to keep his late brother Justin from coming out of the closet. He even paid him £75,000 to stay quiet. When John was at the height of his sports career in the 90s, Justin did decide to come out in an interview with The Sun. A week later, John gave an interview saying, "My gay brother is an outcast." He compared Justin's revelation to being like Hiroshima or Nagasaki on our lives. And John said he begged and threatened Justin not to come out. Unfortunately, Justin killed himself 8 years later, and John now regrets he and his family reacted the way they did all those years ago. He said, "I was wrong. I was ignorant. It was ignorance on my behalf. You've got to remember the public's perception of homosexuality at that time was that it was an abomination. It was taboo. Had he come out now, it would be a different ball game."
It's so incredibly sad. And I mean, I think it's one of those things where it seems like it's great that he's talking about it now because the tragedy of the loss to their family certainly must have been heartbreaking. And for him to be able to speak about his own personal growth and set an example of the impact that family can have on us. You know, a lot of people end up having to reject their families for rejecting them in the first place and build their own families, and that's great, but nothing sort of can replace the acceptance of the people that you have spent your whole life with. So I think it's a warning lesson and an extremely sad story.
Well, that's our show, everybody.
And you have exciting things to share.
I do. I'm going to end with that. I have a lot of things coming up, and they will be popping up on my Facebook page any moment now. But I will be in Atlanta on the 7th, this Saturday night. I will be doing a show for Joining Hearts, and they support Atlanta AIDS and some other wonderful AIDS organizations, Jerusalem House, the Living Room. And thank you, Matt Belcher, for arranging this for such a great cause. And Wes, thank you, and all the people who are supporting it. Y'all come out and see me. I will make you laugh for a great cause. And then the following week, I literally fly back, spend one day here. I'm not going to be here next week. You're going to have your
something.
Your gay view,
something.
I'm sure. And it'll be a wonderful show. I'll probably try to call in. But I will be in San Antonio, Texas, where they're doing Sordid Lives at San Antonio College. And then I will be performing at the Woodlawn Theater on Saturday night, going to Austin, performing at Rain on 4th on the 15th. And then I'm coming back.
That's our show. We've been trying something new about helping share the show. We're posting now clips of the show on Facebook that are easily shareable, so that way that you can share that you love the show with your friends. I'm trying to pull the funniest clips today. It'll probably be that glory hole thing where Dell got in trouble. But so we are posting them back and forth on Dell's Facebook page and on my personal Facebook page to give you a way to share our show with your friends, to tell them that you enjoy listening. There's a subscribe link at the end of it. So watch out for those clips, and that is a great thing for you to share. It's a way you can help promote the show. Thanks.
And if you want to sponsor our show, please get in contact with us.
Stick around. Lots of great fun here on UBN Radio for the rest of the afternoon.
Tony Sweet's next. Thank you.